Hello and welcome to my channel. It's your girl Pamela. I'm here to inspire someone by telling my story of how I transitioned from law to tech. Now, it all started after law school. I was called to the Nigerian bar. I tried to get a job into law as a lawyer. I got so many offers, but at that point, I was staying on the mainland in Lagos. But most of the job offers that could pay you anything reasonable is majorly on the island. So if I was to take the offers I was getting at that point, I would not even have enough transport money to commute. So I left those jobs, and just a few months after my course, but let's just say 1 month or 2 months thereabout, I was referred to a job, and it was a telemarketing job. And you know that saying that everyone says, take the job, just be doing it till you get something else. So that was what I did, and I ended up staying there for 3 years, 3 good years. But I think maybe on the first day of the job, while resuming, that was when I actually realized that the job did not align with any of my goals. So I spent the last 3 years on that job. I applied to every single law firm you can think of in Lagos. I There is no job search platform in Nigeria that my email address is not registered in. Not just Nigeria, internationally. Like, I was searching for job without doing due diligence. Like, um why did I say that? After I found my voice, I took a course on on CV writing, and currently I write, design, and construct perfect CVs for people. And that was how I can tell you categorically that I was just submitting CV at that point for submitting sake. I was not tailoring my CV to any job. I just had one CV that I was applying to every single job, and it was not working out. So the day came, and the period came, that I decided to tell myself the truth, that I can't be doing this. It is not leading me anywhere, right? Even if I get promoted, to what end, really? So I had saved up some money, and I had my side business. I was into importation, and clothes. Like, this is from my brand, right? So I decided, why don't I focus on my fashion business, because it was doing okay at that point, and then upskill. So when I did that, I just one day sent a resignation letter and I left. And I know at that point a lot of people were like, oh, she hasn't gotten another job and she's leaving. What's she trying to do? But in this life, nobody knows your dream. It's only you that knows your dream, and it's only you that can interpret what you feel, or it's only you that can bring your dreams to life. So I didn't actually listen to anyone at that point. I knew what I was putting myself into. I knew that if I eventually finish all the savings, I might be in a whole lot of issue. But I believed that I could do something for myself, right? So I focused on my business at that point. I brought in a whole lot of goods, and I did a business proposal, and I had investors are my sisters. I have 6 sisters. So, but guess what? The business, the importation, the goods I brought in at that point, unfortunately, did not sell. But I've been selling for a very long time, but that particular goods I brought in did not sell. So I got to the point where I was down to my last 50K, and I knew that if I didn't do anything, I might be in big soup. But guess what? Because I already had a mindset before resigning. I knew that that I had to build myself to a very large extent. So what did I do at the point where I was pushing my own business? I started learning or enrolling for different courses. So I got two major scholarships. One scholarship covered courses that had to do with human resources, time management, strategic planning, business and strategy, a whole lot. It was over 15 courses. And I took the courses, and I remember one time where I shared it on LinkedIn that I took those courses. I know one of my friends reached out to me. I was like, it's not possible. Maybe they were just 2 minutes kind of courses. And but nobody saw the determination in me. It's only me that knew what I wanted. Like I didn't want to be average anymore, or I don't want to be average anymore. So I went all in. I also had a mentor then, a business mentor that helped me develop a business plan then that I was using for my business. So that was how I survived during the period where I didn't have a job, but I was focusing on my business and upskilling. So I also, after learning those courses and learning product designing, I wanted more, and I enrolled for data analysis. So data analysis opened my mind to the world of data, and it was very fascinating. I learned how to use Excel very well. I learned how to use Power BI, SQL, and it was amazing. I did a couple of projects at that point, and I knew that I had added a lot of value to me. So, time to network. Now, guess what? I have the skills, right? And if I have the skills and nobody knows about it, it's not going to change my situation. And that was how I started networking. So every single design I created while learning product design, I was putting it out there. I took my LinkedIn very seriously. I was giving out my CV. If you're my friend and I know that you're in a good position, maybe at work, I'll give you my CV. I'll tell you, oh, this is what I do. On my CV, I had already elaborated every single thing that I could do. Remember then when I was submitting my CV and wasn't getting responses, I had to go and learn how to write CV. And I knew how to communicate my skills, my what I could offer on my CV. And apart from that, I used the skills I had learned from product designing to be able to arrange the layout of my CV so that if you get hold of my CV, you don't even need to spend hours or minutes on it. Just a second, we just highlight the important features of myself on my CV. So I was able to express myself on my WhatsApp status, on my Instagram, on my Facebook. I was posting, I was saying what I could do. I was telling people I could do graphic design, I could write a CV, I have learned data analysis, I could analyze data set for you, I could visualize it. There was nothing I was not saying on my status, and I was creating designs to go with it. I'll put myself in the design and I'll put the write up there so that when you see the write up, you also remember my face. So that was how I was networking. And guess what? I landed my major contract. Like, it's a website. I landed the first website to design a website like Fiverr or Upwork. It's like a a website for freelancers. So how did I get that job? I came into a room and I heard two people talking about a project that has to do with design. I'm like, I just found myself talking to them too. And before you knew it, they were like, okay, since you can design, why don't you come up with the wireframes? And I said, oh wow, I could do that. I can actually do wireframes. And that was how I got my first contract as a product designer. I did a wireframe. When I presented the wireframe, I was even on the road when they come here. Okay, so the product owners or the owner of the project want to see it. So I just stood there. The project manager was sharing her screen and I was talking. I was on the road. I was telling them about the user flow and all that, and they liked it because that wireframe ideally was not really a wireframe. It was more like a high fidelity sort of wireframe, right? So after that, they gave me the main contract and I built a website. You will guess that after this whole thing, I eventually got a job as a product designer. Well, that is not how it worked. I got a job as a complaint analyst. So how did it happen? I'd already submitted my CV some time back in a customer for customer experience role, I got a mail that I should prepare for an interview. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, customer experience, do I really want to go into that? I knew that that was not what I want. At this point, I already know what I want, as opposed to when I finished law school, that I did not set like a career plan or like a career path, you understand? But right now, I knew what I wanted. But if you're the type that listen to, you have people around you that advise you, it's also good to take advice. And if you listen to yourself or listen to things around you, it's also good to do that. So I was very reluctant to take that interview, but my friends, my mom, my sister, everyone kept on telling me that I should do it. And I'm like, what's the harm in it? Let me just do it. And the assessment they gave me, was what made me pass was because I saw questions that bordered around data analysis, and that was how I passed it, right? So I did the interview, and I would not stop talking about the fact that I could analyze data sets. I could not just stop talking about it. And I also could not stop talking about the fact that I could do graphics, I could do social media marketing, I could do product design. That was not that was not the interview. But when you have skills, you need to talk about it. And that was how I kept on going. And luckily for me, I got the job. In the job, I was posted to the complaint analyst role. And guess what? That complaint analyst role is a great role to work in. Like, you develop so many soft skills and problem solving, communication, empathy. You get to understand the users, and that actually build my user experience skills, right? So I did that for a couple of months, and I was very lucky that in the organization they had this great policy whereby if you have a skill, you can actually just transition to another unit if you have the skill. So it was so great when I found that. Let me tell you something. The very first day I resumed that job, the only person that did not know that I could do product design and data analysis was the gate man. In fact, if I had the chance to speak with him like one on one, I would have still sold down my skills to him. That was how I was pushing myself, really. So I was telling all my colleagues, everybody, that this was what I could do. Now, sometimes people might interpret it, maybe you're bragging or you're trying to show yourself, but trust me, do what you must do to promote yourself. It's only you that know where you're coming from, and it's only you that know where you want to go to. So I was telling everybody. So luckily for me, I met wonderful people when I resumed, and when a role opened up, that I was new then, so it's not like everything I could hear. A role opened up and I was told about it. I sent my CV in. When I sent in my CV for the product design role, because as a company analyst, I really did not have time. I was working around the clock and I was still learning. So I didn't have like an organized portfolio, in the sense that I didn't have a website where I posted my portfolio, and I didn't even have the time to make my Behance accounts, like put everything that I had done there, or even on Dribble. Like, I had accounts there, I still have accounts there, but all my projects are not there because of time. So what did I do? I created my CV. Sold myself, and put the links of everything I could do. The links were directing the viewer to my Figma file, and that was how I had that was the portfolio I could come up with at that time. So I sent it in. Luckily, yeah, I got a call. When I saw that email from the HR that I had an interview, that was like the happiest day of my life. I was so happy. That I told myself that I am getting the job. It was not a question of, oh, if I fail, I will survive it, we'll move on. No, it was not a question of we'll move on. I had to get the job. So I prepared as if everything I had depended on it, right? I did the first interview, right? Talked about my project, some of the project that I have done. So luckily I was sent the second email. So second interview was like a technical assessment. My God, they gave me like a case study that I should build a mobile application and a web application too. And I was not on leave when I was doing that. I was working like round the clock, and oh my god, I prepared like my life depended on it. I could share the case study and how I solved it. If you would like, just leave a comment and I'll do a video on how I solved it. So after solving it, I did a presentation. I was asked a lot of questions and I was defending it. In my mind, as they were asking me this question, I was like, see, I will answer all these questions every people are asking me, because this is an opportunity I've been waiting for and I have to get it. So after the presentation, I was so tired, but I think I got a feedback that they liked my user research. I'm very good with user research. I'm very good with presentation because I learned the data visualization when I was learning data analysis. So I did that very well, and I like research as a lawyer. I like research. I like facts. So if I'm presenting a solution, I'm backing it up with the data that proves it. So they were impressed with that. So at that point, I was like, God. But guess what? The process was a bit slow, and it took some time before they called me. I was so worried, but eventually I got the email that I have been moved to that department. Oh my God. I was so happy. So for anyone who is facing any challenges in their career right now, or who wants something different, right? So my advice to you is that upskilling was crucial in my transitioning from law to tech.